And joining me now, Republican strategist Evan Siegfried and former Breitbart News reporter Michelle Fields. Thank you all for being here. I have to, Evan, start with the covfefe thing because it is ridiculous and it's annoying to me that it took up so much of our mind space over the last couple of weeks. There are much more important things to talk about. But I just want to show you this progression and get your take on it as a Republican strategist. Step one, Donald Trump tweets weirdly and incoherently, obviously a typo, despite the constant negative press covfefe, which looks like he was trying to type coverage maybe and just trailed off weirdly for some reason and never deleted it. Then, and we all have tweets that we misspell, right? He then has some fun with it, and he sends a tweet Wednesday morning after the first tweet was taken down, and he writes, "Who can figure out the true meaning of covfefe? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Enjoy." So even he recognizes that it's ridiculous. But that's not the way that his team or his supporters react to it. Item number one. Trump supporters on Reddit decided to go on and denounce stupid liberals, stupid libs, right, libtards, for not knowing that covfefe is Arabic for "I will stand up." That's what they think it means. And you have all of these threads of people saying that the liberals are just too dumb to realize he typed it on purpose and it has a meaning. The New York Times then goes and asks an actual professor of Arabic at NYU whether or not covfefe is Arabic for anything. And here's a pull quote. Mr. Al-Naimi, who previously worked for the New York Times in Baghdad, made a good faith effort to see whether the mistranslation may have come from, where it may have come from. In a phone interview, he repeated the word covfefe several times before finally laughing. "Come on," he said. "I'm sorry. No, it's not." And last item, the spokesperson for the President of the United States, Sean Spicer, in his official capacity as a taxpayer-paid spokesperson for the President of the United States, responds to this ridiculousness with this.
Do you think people should be concerned that the president posted somewhat of an incoherent tweet last night and that it then stayed up for hours?
No.
Why did it stay up so long? Is no one watching this?
No, I think the president and a small group of people know exactly what he meant. Blake. Blake.
What does it mean?
Evan, are you in the small group of people who know exactly what the president meant? And is that normal behavior in an American Democratic presidential sort of administration?
It's silliness. And people saying, well, he was actually using the Arabic word. He just came from the Arab world where he could have used it and he didn't use it. And I never have known Donald Trump to speak Arabic in any way, shape, or form. I think that if you actually look at what's going on with the effusive praise that all of his aides are saying on the record, that is a smokescreen. The president himself goes on and even this week talks about how important his win was. He's like Al Bundy talking about the 4 touchdowns he scored once for Polk High. He can't stop his one great achievement. But when you actually talk to these aides off record and off camera, and there's no recording devices, they say this guy's, there's something off here. He's doing all these mistakes, and it's covfefe'd up, as they say.
But Michelle, you know, there is, I mean, look, there's a narcissistic personality type that needs to be praised, that needs to hear how great they are, that needs the praise to be extra effusive. This is the greatest president in history. The crowds were the biggest in history. It was the greatest. There's a need for that, but then there are the followers who are willing to do it. Why are so many people on the right willing to do it?
Well, I think in the case of Hope Hicks and Sean Spicer, they realize that they have one job and they work for one person, and their job is basically to make Trump happy. And right now he's very frustrated and upset. I mean, his presidency is being slammed in the newspapers, on TV. He doesn't like that. So Sean Spicer and Hope are creating this alternate reality where things are amazing, everything's great, everything's perfect. And they know that their jobs are not that secure. Trump is not very loyal to people who are not his family. They know that if they make the wrong mistake, they're going to be on the chopping block. So they're willing to push out embarrassing statements in order to sort of safeguard their jobs. And in terms of his supporters, a lot of his supporters are die-hard. He can say and do whatever, and they will find an excuse, and they will blame it on liberals.
Yeah, they say that liberals are too dumb to understand that covfefe is in Arabic, but I'm sure they all speak fluently. I want to add to the panel former Breitbart media consultant Kurt Bardella. It's a great advantage to have both you and Michelle here who understand that world, because it does feel like a lot of this Trumpism is also Bannonism, and that there is a certain authoritarian streak to it, a certain dear leaderism to it that might be Bannonite too, and I'm going to get you to tell me whether or not I'm wrong about that. Stephen Miller, who was seen as a Bannon ally before he maybe jumped ship to Kushner's team, this is what he said on Face the Nation back in February talking about travel ban and people's reaction to it.
Our opponents, the media, and the whole world will soon see, as we begin to take further actions, that the powers of the president to protect our country are very substantial and will not be questioned.
That struck most people, Kurt, as creepy.
But and he was never seen on TV again.
Yeah, and inside, but inside of Breitbart world, inside of the Trump sort of die-hard base, how was that kind of talk received?
Oh, it's expected. I mean, you know, again, this mirrors what you would expect from a dictatorial regime, the mandate that there is effusive, over-the-top praise for their beloved leader, that the leader could never do any wrong, and then even in the face of making a mistake, and even if something as minor as a typo on a tweet, there is this mindset that you never accept or never admit that you did anything wrong, you're never at fault. That's very Steve Bannon-like, you know, never allowing anyone to pressure you to do anything that you don't feel like you should have to do, and in fact that everyone should just accept what you say because you said it, and never question that. And
it was seen, you know, for a lot of people, Evan, that sort of the guardian of kind of the dignity of the White House, even if Donald Trump goes off the rails, is supposed to be Mike Pence. He's supposed to be the one that's got more dignity, right? But this is Mike Pence praising Donald Trump in Iowa on Saturday, and this was at the Joni Ernst annual Roast and Ride. This is Mr. Pence.
And let me say from my heart, as the proud father of a United States Marine, I couldn't be more grateful to be vice president to a president who cares so deeply about the men and women of the armed forces of the United States of America. Congress, in fact, under the president's leadership and with your senator's support, just passed the largest increase in military spending in nearly 10 years.
Oh, Joe Biden loved Barack Obama. I mean, I think these men genuinely loved each other, and when he would speak about him, he definitely praised. But you never saw this sort of almost autocratic country level of effusive praise for the dear leader. Will Mike Pence, in his terms of his political future, live to regret that, or is that just something expected within the Republican
Mike
Party?
Pence is already married to Donald Trump by virtue of being on the ticket. And now is they're turning and pivoting toward the base because independents are abandoning them. Democrats weren't really there to begin with, and the few that were are moving away. And they are starting to see cracks within the Trump base, but they have to firm that up. And that's why he pulled out of the Paris Accord. They need to have that support in order to stave off any sort of negative repercussions and try and hold on to as much as possible so that they can win again in 2020.